You are listening to Indie Radio, where we do content the indie way.
Welcome to the Infectious Geek. I am so stoked because this is the season premiere. I think it's the 5th season now, but this is the 17th episode, and we are going to be talking about the origin of horror movies. So, we're going to be talking about the classics. We're going to be talking about Nosferatu and the Night of the Living Dead and Frankenstein, and we're gonna then go into some more obscure movies from the 50s and 60s that you might not have heard about. So joining me today is my one of my best friends in the whole world and horror movie guru, Kirk Smith. Hi, Kirk.
Hey, Tory.
How are you doing tonight?
Good, good, good.
Yeah, are you excited?
Yeah, a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, you look excited. Also joining me is my another one of my closest friends and colleague is Kente Ferguson. How are you tonight, Kente?
I'm doing good, and I'm looking forward to this new season of The Infectious Geek.
Yeah, me too. I'm so excited. So, all right, let's get into it. So, everybody thinks that they know like what horror movies are all about. So, let's take a look at, well, let's not take a look. Let's talk about when you think of horror movies, what do you think of? Kirk, go ahead. Tell me what you think of. When the first thing that pops into your head when you think of the phrase horror movie.
Well, I grew up. I actually started watching horror movies when I was 6 years old. There was a program. I grew up in the Chicago area, and there was a program called Creature Features, and they would show the old Universal horror movies. And whenever somebody says horror movies, that's kind of what I go to begin with. So it kind of starts there with me. So
Okay. So what were you watching when you were 6? Were you watching like Frankenstein or
yeah,
the Thing or
yeah,
Swamp Man?
all that. Yeah, they showed double features actually. They would pair Dracula with the Wolfman and Son of Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein, stuff like that. They would, yeah, it started at 10:30 and be over with by 1:30 or whatever. But yeah, that's how I was introduced to all that. So
Okay. What about you, Kinsey? When you think of the word horror movie, what comes to mind?
Well, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, so with Halloween, Nightmare on Elm Street, all the slasher films. We went to go to the movies every year and got those films. And as I got older, I was able to appreciate the older films a lot more, going back to the Nosferatu era. But of course, there's great movies like The Shining, Rosemary's Baby, The Hills Have Eyes,
Yeah.
the original version, and there's a lot of great horror masters that hopefully we get to talk about. But
Yeah.
And one of my favorite horror films that we've actually done a podcast on is Halloween. I think it's one of the great underrated horror films of all time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yep.
So, whenever we were talking about, we did a show like how not to get killed in horror movies, and that was a really fun one. But, like, so I want to talk about like where people, uh, where people go when they think of horror movies. So of course the slasher films like Freddy and Jason and Michael Myers, like they're very on point. And then we also have like Nosferatu, which was like the beginning of the vampires. Uh he was just an amazing actor and very underrated. Like he's gaining popularity now, but like I think that like most horror movies have a premise and that's like some sort of villain, right? And we can also identify with villains. So like if you could pick your favorite horror movie person, who would it be?
Oh, favorite Oh, your favorite monster or favorite villain?
creature, monster, or villain, or like killer. Who would you pick, Kirk?
Oh, ugh. Um, wow. Um, well, this is going to be one of the obscure movies we're going to talk about later on, but it's a movie called Night of the Hunter,
Okay.
and yeah, and it's character played by Robert Mitchum. He plays a preacher, and yeah, it's real creepy. It's because it's more rooted in reality. Actually, that's what makes it a little more scarier.
Right.
And
Okay. That's
so yeah,
awesome.
that's yeah, that would be. It's also my favorite movie. So of all times.
What about you, Kinte? Who would you say your favorite horror movie creature slash villain is?
Well, I mean, I don't want to sound. I mean, I kind of just said it already, but
Right.
I feel like Michael Myers is the people's champ.
Okay.
so I've always been a fan of Michael Myers. I mean, he's one of the only slashers besides, I guess, Jeepers Creepers that drives.
Yeah.
you
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's right. I never thought of that. Yes.
you
There's
know, how cool is he?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Jeepers Creeper he drives too, and he
yeah.
flies, which
Yeah.
doesn't make sense because it's like if you can fly, why even drive? But anyway, uh, but yeah, I always loved Michael Myers. I just think he's a fascinating character, and of course, a lot of those sequels were pretty bad, but the original is pretty awesome.
Right, right. So I think my favorite. Hmm, this is a hard question, but I'm pretty sure that my favorite is either Michael Myers because I love all the Halloween movies, or Captain Spaulding from The Devil's Rejects because he
Oh,
was to me like the epitome of an evil guy. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. We'll get into that in a little while, but like,
yeah,
all right.
yeah.
So all right. So let's see. We're going to talk about 50s and 60s horror movies. So I did an interview with the original Night of the Living Dead's sheriff, the guy that played the sheriff in the original movie. And it was really awesome because I thought we were going to talk about the movie and how he was with George Romero, which we all know is the godfather of zombies. And I thought that like it was
Is
going to
this is
be,
this is this the guy who led the posse?
yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
yeah. So I talked to him. His name is George Wallace. He's now passed away, but he and I started talking about how him and George Romero formed a film company in the 60s and how they did all these obscure movies. And then they decided to do Night of the Living Dead. And he told me, and you told me too, Kirk, that the original plot was supposed to be aliens, not
Yeah.
zombies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that was really cool. And then he told me that they built the house that Barbara was in and all that stuff. So like they built that and they made the set
No,
themselves.
actually, what they found that farmhouse.
Oh, they did? I thought he
Yeah.
said that they built it.
No, they found it. It was abandoned, and they
Oh, they rebuilt it.
and
Okay.
and they were allowed to do whatever they want to in the house. So
Yeah.
I just found that out actually.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you talked to the guy who wrote the movie. You
John
went to,
Russo.
yeah. So you went to Monster Mash, which was in Pittsburgh like last year, right? And like you got to talk to him for a little bit. I mean, I guess he was a little
Yeah, he
standoffish, but
yeah he looked like he didn't want to be there. So yeah.
yeah, but at least you got to talk to him. That was really cool.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, that was pretty cool.
Now let's talk about George Romero for a minute because let's face it, he inspired all of the zombie movies that we have now. So, like The Walking Dead, World War Z, all these movies were inspired by him and his creation of the zombies in Night of the Living Dead. I think that's really interesting. I know you have a lot to say about this, Kirk, because you know a lot about the movie, but like, this was uh, pushing the boundaries of what movies were supposed to be at the time, right?
Yeah, yeah. It actually pushed a lot of boundaries. One of them, unknowingly, because the main character was a black actor, and they everybody actually kind of praised George Romero for doing that, but he always said that guy was just the best actor for the job.
Right, right.
It wasn't a matter of race or anything, and it was just he was just the best actor for the job, and and I mentioned I recently watched it. I watched it with the commentary, and the commentary was with the actors.
Oh, cool, cool,
Yeah,
cool.
the surviving actors. It was Barbara, the guy who played her brother. I can't remember the one guy who got burned in the truck.
Oh, right, yeah, yeah.
Him and his girlfriend. Yeah, they were a part of it too. So, but yeah, they all mentioned that guy how good he was, and yeah. So that
He
was
was good.
that was one of the boundaries. Yeah, that they pushed. Yeah.
And the fact that they created an entire Living Dead genre, like zombies didn't exist until this movie came about, right? Am I wrong?
No, they existed. It popularized.
There were zombie movies like far back as the 30s, like White Zombie was
Oh, okay.
Lugosi. That I think that was one of the first ones, and there was one in the 40s called I Walk with a Zombie, which is actually pretty good. And no, but this one, the Romero one, created the myth. I think that everybody goes with today. Like you shoot them in the head,
Right.
you know, that's what kills them. But yeah,
Okay. All right. So Nosferatu. Let's talk about what boundaries Bela Lugosi pushed, because he was such a creative guy. Like he really got it. He was probably one of the first method actors, wasn't he? Like he
yeah,
got into his roles like very, very well. And I think that he epitomized what a vampire should have been, because
yeah. Well, I think I kind of have a problem with vampire movies because
right.
because a lot of them the vampire is always good looking, always always like with the I really had a problem with the series True Blood.
I like True Blood, but okay.
Well, parts of it were good, but they were all good looking. I mean, they were all, and I think why I like Nosferatu so much is because I think that's what a vampire should be.
Right.
Because because once a person becomes a vampire, he stops being a human being. Basically, you just
right.
basically.
Wait a minute. You don't think he's hot?
Oh, come on. That's sexiness right there.
I'm sure there's people out there who think he is, but
like, if I go into a bar and I see him in there, I'm just walking out because I got no chance that night.
And they don't sparkle. Vampires do not sparkle. I hate that.
I know. Well, yeah, let's just not talk about that one.
I think what happened is Anne Rice came into the picture and definitely like she romanticized the vampires. She made them sexy and she gave them these rules that weren't really what I guess let's talk about original vampire movies, right? So like let's talk about like where there's Nosferatu, but there's other ones. What are the other ones, Kurt?
Well, there's obviously Dracula.
Right.
There was also another one made that was called Vampire, Vampyr. That was made around the same time as Dracula, and that's really kind of creepy. It gets kind of, yeah, definitely, yep. And that yeah, get a chance to watch that. That's yeah, that's very creepy. They don't really say that the person's a vampire in it, but it's obvious they are. So but it's and it's basically a silent movie, but it was made in the 30s.
Now let
Early
me ask
30s.
you a question. Did that move? Okay, there was one that was. I think it was like made in, like, maybe Holland, but it was about like a teenage vampire, and it was like it's pretty recent. It's not older. Like it's like within the last 15 years, and like it was really dark and like really pushing the boundaries of like what was appropriate. Like I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it either, to be honest with you.
Okay. I was reaching for straws there. All right, so let's see. We got vampires, we got zombies. What about Frankenstein? Now, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein is what Frankenstein's supposed to be, and then it's shot off into all sorts of different movies. We got Bride of Frankenstein, The Son of Frankenstein, Frankenstein's baby, blah 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 blah.
Yeah. Well, Hammer did that. Hammer had about, I don't know, 10 or 12 Frankenstein movies. I lost count, but yeah. But and in those movies, the actual monster was the creator. They kind of shifted, they kind of reversed it, and made the creator the monster, basically.
Right.
But as far as the ones in the 30s, but everybody says their favorite one is Bride of Frankenstein. But actually, my favorite is The Son of Frankenstein because it has so much going for it. You got Bela Lugosi as Igor, and he basically steals a movie from everybody. But it's just a lot of fun, and there's a reason why Mel Brooks, the young Frankenstein,
Right.
they borrowed a lot from Son of Frankenstein. So
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
yeah.
That's interesting. Kinte, what do you think about Frankenstein?
Honestly, I never was a huge Frankenstein fan, just because I don't know. Like I got the whole point of it and everything, but I don't know. It was just he was a little too creepy for me. Frankenstein, the whole concept of using body parts to bring somebody to create a human. I mean, I get it's a deep conversation, but yeah, but then there was this movie. Y'all gonna make fun of me. There was this movie where it had all the monsters in it, but it was like a kids movie.
Monster Squad.
Monster Squad. Yeah,
yeah. That's actually a cool movie. That's actually a really good movie.
I was thinking of Hotel Transylvania, but that wasn't right.
Yeah. Oh, that's another one. And what is it? Transylvania 65000 or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's Goldblum. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. So we got.
I actually like this movie right here, Monster Squad. Hey, don't make fun of me, y'all.
No, it's a very good movie.
We already made fun of you a long time ago, Kinte. It's okay. Okay, so all right, so we got Frankenstein, we got zombies, we got vampires, werewolves. Now I know you love the werewolf movies. Kurt, you talk about them and you show lots of pictures on Instagram about Werewolf Man and all that stuff and Wolfman, and so I think the origin of werewolves is really interesting. I think that like where they came from and how they turned
Yeah,
into. That's really cool to me. Like,
yeah.
ooh, that's
There's
realistic.
one movie that did that actually. That talked about um, a werewolf from birth up to adulthood, and that's Curse of the Werewolf.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
didn't know
that
that.
was 1963 or whatever. But yeah, yeah. He was. The thing is, he was born on. I think the myth is if you're born on Christmas Day, you
Okay.
become a werewolf. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, all right. I see Elijah in the chat. Hi, Elijah. Hi, buddy. All right. So, we we're covering some ground. I want to talk about some obscure movies now. Like we talked about the classics. Let's talk about like movies that people probably didn't hear about and where their creepiness probably inspired future directors to make what we have today. So, what do you think would be a groundbreaking movie in the 50s that would or the 30s or 40s, whatever? Like what do you think would be the one that you would talk about?
Well, Kinte brought up that his favorite was Halloween,
Right.
and I think the one the precursor to Halloween was a movie called Eyes Without a Face,
Okay.
and yeah, it's about this guy, this plastic surgeon whose daughter is who's disfigured in an accident, and he tries to basically trying to find a face for her, and none of the transplants take.
Oh
But
no.
yeah, but what's creepy about the movie is the mask that she wears, and it's a lot like it's a lot like Michael Myers in Halloween, and because it's I don't know it's very creepy. It's just and they actually show one of the groundbreaking things is excuse me is the violence, or not violence, but the amount of gore in the movie. This was made in 1960. They actually show the face transplant. They actually show a face being peeled off of another head. Hello?
Okay, I'm here. Sorry. Okay, so all right. So on that front, that's cool. I really think that like Albert Hitchcock kind of set the stage for
Yeah,
creepy movies too.
yeah. They both came out at the same year, so
Okay.
yeah.
All
But
right. So
obviously, his was known more than this other one. But
right. I mean, Psycho is just classic. I mean, it's just one of those movies that everybody knows and everybody got freaked out about. Like, the shower scene is the most perfect scene, really. Like, it really is so great. Like, I love how he makes it scary without blood and guts. He makes it psychologically scary. Like, I think that's great. I think it's awesome. The birds freaked me out. So now
yeah,
every time like I see a
the,
flock of birds, I'm like, ah! In my head, I'm like, they're gonna eat us. But yeah. Um, what is, what is your favorite Albert Hitchcock movie, Kinte?
My favorite Alfred Hitchcock movie is Vertigo.
Okay.
It's not a horror film, um, but it's just a fantastic movie. You know,
yeah,
that movie it is so beautiful to look at. The performances is great. It's so haunting, you know, and I mean
yeah.
this is him at his
There's an
best.
unbelievable dream sequence in that movie too. He had
Yeah.
James Stewart has a dream in that movie, and it's unbelievable. Yeah, the whole movie is just it's very cool.
I
Yeah.
never. I need to see that. I never even
Oh my
heard of
God.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, Vertigo. Yeah. That's like. I mean, a lot of people, think of it as his best film, and I agree with those people
Okay.
who say that. Also, North by Northwest is
Oh
amazing.
yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Rope. I mean, he's so many Strangers on the Train. Just he's just had so many just terrific films, and then the TV show was great too. So
Bates Motel was amazing. Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's probably one of my all-time favorite series. Like, I I don't know. I just really liked how the relationship between the mother and the son, and I liked how it was really, really well written. It was well directed, and it was well acted, in my opinion. Like, so, like, getting, you know, all the classic things that you think of in Psycho and putting into a series that can last as long as it did. Just it really pushed the boundaries on psychological stuff. You know what I mean? Um, one movie that I want to talk about is The Shining, because The Shining was such a great book, and I don't think the movie did it justice. Like, I really think that it touched on all the stuff, but it didn't really get into the deep core of who Johnny was. You know what I mean? Like how deep he went into the rabbit hole. What do you guys think about that?
Well, actually actually I never read the book, but I yeah I had a problem with the movie. I don't know. I it seemed like a lot of set pieces um kind of tied into a movie. There's the elevator scene, the I don't know, the twins, the whatever. And it just everything was, and I don't know. I was never involved in that movie for some reason. It never really scared me for some reason.
I've read the book, both books, the sequel Doctor Sleep as well, and my favorite filmmaker is in fact Stanley Kubrick, and I love The Shining. I think it's a fantastic film. I mean, I just love the film. I love the book. To me, the book and the film are just two different experiences, and so I don't. That's why I don't really. I'm not one of those people that I don't want the same thing from I because I could just read the book. So, but I mean, is it flawed? Yeah, but I mean, a lot of great movies are. But I just think it's beautiful to look at. It's the performances are amazing, and actually the sequel book, Doctor Sleep, which I read when it came out as well. I mean, I didn't read The Shining when it came out, but I read it a long time ago. Uh, is a fantastic book, and the film is very good. Doctor Sleep came out maybe 2 years ago. I want to say two, maybe 3 years ago, and Doctor Sleep is very, very good film. Great concepts. I think he did a pretty awesome job of marrying the original film as well as the novels together. So
Okay, yeah, I love Stanley Kubrick anyway. Like, Clockwork Orange is so cool. Like, it's not necessarily a horror film, but like all his films, like,
kind of low key, it is though.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, I mean,
I think it's a horror movie.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
pretty frightening. It's pretty frightening.
Yeah, that's a jarring movie.
I
Mhm.
think that like his direction is so dark. He's kind of like the predecessor to Tim Burton, in my opinion. Like in creepy, weird ways that he filmed things. I think that like I don't know. I'm probably a little bit wrong on that, but like I don't know. He probably influenced Tim Burton a lot. I don't know. I just see a lot of similarities between the two movies.
I know he influenced a lot of people because he was amazing. And there's a great documentary about The Shining about what the implications might be of what the film is really about. Uh, I don't want to get into it because it's very conspiracy theory, but I think I think it's fascinating to say the least. But if you don't mind, I want to throw in a couple of movies.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so a movie that I really like, and I'm not gonna dig. I mean, I could go real deep and go, to some older films, but I mean, I guess this is an older film, but Poltergeist. Um, I really love. First of all, it's directed by I believe you say his name, Toby Hooper,
Yeah.
who directed the original
That-
Chainsaw Massacre,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I mean, we can't skip that one, right? But I guess at some point we got to mention Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But uh, Poltergeist is just this really beautiful film, uh, and it's the act. I mean, it's great, and it's really good about making things scary that are common. Like, who would have thought your television would become scary? You know what I mean? Or that tree
Yeah.
outside of your house. Like the way that they made like common everyday things scary, and then you got the old preacher guy, and then and then the girl stuck in the television, and I mean all these iconic
Yeah.
moments in
Yeah.
there.
Wasn't there? I haven't seen the movie in a long time, but wasn't there a scene with involving two pieces of bread or whatever and maggots or something?
Yeah,
That would
yeah,
that creeped me out. That's yeah.
yeah. I mean, yeah, it's really good. I mean, I don't know if you guys know this. There was a kind of a controversy about it because Steven Spielberg produced it, and it said that he kind of shadow directed it, and it does feel like a Steven Spielberg film if you watch it.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it.
Toby Hooper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he did. Toby Hooper also did Salem's Lot, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Stephen
Yeah.
King. Yeah. And I know we just mentioned Shining, but we probably need to mention we need to mention Stephen King as a big contributor to the horror genre.
Oh God, yeah.
Believe it or not, for good or for better, for better or for worse, with some of the films that came out of his stuff. Oddly enough, me and some friends watched. I've seen it before, but we were watching again. The Cat's Eye, with James Woods is in it. Drew Barrymore, which she's look. Have you ever seen that movie, Tori, where it follows this cat, and the cat gets in these different scenarios, and it's like it's a way to tell three different stories, and it's
Oh
really
yeah. I saw that a long time ago. Yep.
that one. Yeah, we rewatched it last night. My friend had never heard of it, and then he was just cracking up at some of the stuff that's in that stupid movie. And then there is a film called Maximum Overdrive, which is not based on a novel. I think it was the first film that Stephen King
Yeah,
directed.
he wrote. Yeah, he wrote an original screenplay, I think, for that, didn't he?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean the movie is very dated when you watch it now and silly and stupid, but it's so entertaining. When you see, a vending machine killing kids, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, they have a semi truck in there. The front of it's like the Green Goblin
Right.
from Spider-Man. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know if you could tell, but I have it on the screen. So
Yeah.
I'm trying my best to bring up.
No, you're
references.
very cool. Yeah.
What about Carrie?
Oh, Carrie, yes, Carrie
Oh my
was
God.
good. Oh man, Carrie. I believe that was his first novel, right? Yeah, it was his first
Yeah.
novel,
Yep.
and he threw it away when he was. I think I want to say he was halfway done with it, and he threw it away. And then his wife was like, she pulled it out the trash heap and said, "No, this is good. Like, continue with it." And it was a big smash. And it was directed by my second favorite director, Brian De Palma, who we can talk about his movies too. And he's done quite a bit of horror films, but Brian De Palma directed it, and John Travolta is in it as well. So, but a very creepy and strange film, but definitely a classic.
Yeah, I think that definitely like when I think of being picked on in high school, like Carrie was always what I was like, yeah, I'm gonna set the whole high school on fire. Like that's kind of where I went to. Like I love that movie. I want to go back to Texas Chainsaw Massacre only because that's my favorite movie. So both of them, the original and the remake, because they both have really cool things dealing with it. And we talked about when we did our serial killer episode about how like Ed Gaines, who was a serial killer, he didn't actually kill anybody, but what he did was dug up the body of his mother and cut her face off and did a bunch of stuff with like organs and ears and nipples of dead people that were in
Yeah,
his
he made
house.
like, lampshades and
Yes, he inspired Buffalo Bill and all that other stuff, right? So like he also inspired Leatherface, and like oh my god, like that movie just makes me super stoked. Like
and that's another movie that doesn't show any blood.
right,
Believe it or not, it,
right.
it implies a hell of a lot, but it then never shows anything.
The
You
dinner
know,
scene too. Oh my god. Sorry, go ahead.
you, you know, I like my chances with the guy with the chainsaw because if you've ever dealt with a chainsaw, it's probably not the best weapon to have in some sort of combat. You know, so so I like my chances against someone with a chainsaw. Plus, you can hear them coming. So,
Right. The element of surprise is killed.
right. But it's a fantastic film. Creepy as hell, and they just got
My
creepier and
favorite
creepier.
scene is the dinner table
Yeah,
scene.
me too. That is
That's my all-time favorite. I
I
love that.
I think that scene inspired House of a Thousand Corpses
Yeah,
and Devil's
definitely. Yeah.
Rejects. Like definitely Rob
I
Zombie
know.
nailed it
Well,
on
I think Rob Zombie said that. I think he did say that he wanted to get that feel, especially with Devil's Rejects. Yeah, and I think he did.
that. The
I
Hills
think
Have
he,
Eyes also has that kind of element to it too, the
Yeah,
original.
right. We got to give shout out to Wes Craven, who
Oh,
is no longer with
absolutely.
us. Wes Craven was a genius and just a fantastic filmmaker, and and brought back horror films with Scream, which people kind of forget. Like horror films were dead, and then Scream came out, and then it rejuvenized the horror film genre. That was, it was the dead genre at that point. They had basically wore it out, and maybe that's something we should discuss too. Is horror is one of those genres that seem to have like a peak, and then it kind of goes away, and it comes back, and goes away, and comes back, and goes
yeah,
away. It's interesting because then after Scream exhausted it, then kind of whether you like it or not, Saw kind of brought it back again,
Yeah, yeah.
and
yeah.
and then
I liked
Paranormal
the
Activity.
first Saw movie. I
Yeah,
loved it. I thought it
so
was
did I,
great.
but I think it wore out its welcome after the third movie. I couldn't, yeah, I couldn't watch it past the third movie because I get it now, so I just, but yeah,
Right,
I really liked the first movie. I thought it was very well done.
and
One
then
movie. Go ahead.
no, I was gonna say, and then Paranormal Stupidity brought it back
Well,
again. I mean, I'm sorry, Activity. So
I
you know what? When
love
I
I
saw that
love the
movie,
first I love the first one, but what bothered me with the first one is that guy was so annoying, extremely annoying, and
well, what's funny about
that's what
that
kind of
film. As a filmmaker, an independent filmmaker, I'm like, I could have done that for,
Right,
I could have made that movie for $5. you know,
right.
well,
Yeah.
that's what people said about the Blair Witch Project too.
that's another one. Can I tell y'all a quick Blair Witch story?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay, so I would go to screenings a lot, right? I always had to hook up to go to movie screenings. I live here in Los Angeles, and what happened was, I want to say it was either 6 months to a year. I got this screening to go see this film called The Blair Witch Project. Now, mind you, this is way before the hype. Had no idea what the hell this was, right? So we go and watch this movie, and it was dead silence. nobody in the theater reacted to almost anything. And when it was over, they actually had a talk with us to see what we could do to make the movie better. And everybody had all these suggestions. And so when the movie came out, like people were kind of talking about it, the scuttlebutt, and I realized it was the same movie I had saw like almost a year earlier. I was like, this is the movie that's taking everything by storm. This movie sucked. and and, uh, and then I rewatched it to see maybe they changed some stuff. No, it was the same movie I saw. It was the same movie. I mean, you got to give them credit because they took that and made it into what it was, and you got to give them a lot of credit for that. But as far as a film, it's not a movie I watch over and over. And,
no, I think I've only seen it twice. I
saw it twice.
It's something to go back to. Yeah.
Now,
the remake was not bad. It was okay. The remake, or not the remake, the reboot or whatever.
So one movie that I really like that kind of, I don't know, brushed under the tip, I thought it was great, was Hostel. Like, I don't know why, like the premise of getting like your kidneys taken out of you and shit like that kind of just creeps me out. Like, not a lot of people liked Hostel, but I thought it was creepy.
Okay, Hostel is another one. I went to go see it a little bit before it came out, so I had no idea what I was going to see. Unlike Blair Witch Project, everybody went freaking nuts. Because honestly, when I'm watching, I didn't know what it was because this is before the hype came out. So I'm like, these are just these guys backpacking, through Europe. I mean, you felt like something bad was going to happen, but you didn't know exactly. And then when it switches, you're like, oh my God. And then, I mean, it's a great movie. Didn't care much for the sequel, but the first one was really good. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. I also really, really like it's a video game too, so we can get a little nerdy with it, but Silent Hill freaked me out. Like, freaked me out. Like, I was like, oh my God. Now every time I hear the sirens on a Slipknot song, I'm like, oh my God, all the evil people are coming to get me. Like, it was like, I can watch that movie over and over again. Like, I will never go to West Virginia now. Like, there's a real town that really that whole like coal mine thing happened to, and this is like they based the whole video game and movie on that little town. That's scary as hell.
Well, that's the same deal with The Exorcist. That was actually real. That happened in 1959, and it was a little boy it happened to rather than a girl. And the author of the book, The Exorcist, heard about the story when he was in college in Georgetown, and got the idea for the movie, for the book about that. So, but yeah, that's another movie that it's not what you see that scared the crap out of me. It's what you heard. The sound in that film is unreal. I think the sound editing and just the sound effects are amazing in that movie. I mean, it just that's what scares me in that film. So,
I don't want to sound like a jerk,
but
okay. I don't know. Are you guys? I know Tory's a parent. Are you a parent, Kurt?
No.
Okay, so all right, so maybe you'll be like me. I just put that kid up for adoption. I'm like, get out this house. You and Satan, get the hell out of my house.
Foster care for you.
Especially when she threw her mother against the wall. So yeah, that would be enough. Yeah, you're out.
Right. I'd be like, people be asking me, didn't you used to have a daughter? Yeah, well, she did that. We don't talk about that.
Okay, let's see. Ah, man, there's so many good movies out there. The Hills Have Eyes. Like, we can talk about that for a second because The Hills Have Eyes is one of those movies that's like Wrong Turn, you know, like same kind of premise. Like Wrong Turn kind of was like, oh, we have to talk about Deliverance too. Like,
Oh yeah, yes.
oh my
Squeal
god,
like a pig. Squeal like a pig.
yes,
That's
you got some pretty lips. Say that all the time. But that, that and Wrong Turn, like I thought Wrong Turn was a good movie. I did not like the sequels, but I thought Wrong Turn was a good movie. But I felt like it was more like the West Virginia version of The Hills Have Eyes. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I still haven't seen The Hills Have Eyes, the original.
What? Oh my god!
I have to see it. I know I have to.
Yes, it's one of George Romero's best films. Like in my opinion, like in scary factor.
That's not Romero. That's
Wes Craven.
Oh, was it Wes Craven? Okay, my bad. Okay, but like The Crazies is my personal George Romero favorite film, the original and the remake.
I like Monkey Shines. I don't think people have seen that movie. Have you ever seen that George Romero film, Monkey Shines?
No.
Yeah. I've seen it.
That's a strange film. That's where a he's a paraplegic or something, I believe. It's a while since I've seen it, and he can transfer his thoughts into a monkey, and his monkey does his bidding. It's a really creepy film. He's done so many movies in different genres and stuff. There's one called Night Riders, which is not a horror movie, but it's a really cool concept. It's about King Arthur basically on motorcycles. It's Ed Harris is in it. That's a really cool movie.
You talked to me about this before. Yeah,
we reviewed it on Cinema du Fromage.
Oh my god! Yes, I love that. Yeah.
Tom Savini is also in that too. He's got a fairly big part in that movie. So I think that's my favorite George Romero movie.
Can I bring up something controversial or potentially controversial? This film is actually an Oscar winner, and the reason why it's controversial because some people debate whether or not it's a horror film. Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, I love this film. Buffalo Bill, the fava beans, like it.
Multiple MIGs.
Yes, So you remember David Kinney? I dared him to do the Buffalo Bill dance, and this man did it spot on. Yes, I couldn't believe it. Like I don't know, you never played it with me, but in my own Walking Dead group, like we'd play Truth or Dare, and like one of the stipulations of the game was if you got a dare, you had to video yourself doing the dare and then post it to the group. So like he did that. And I was like, he talked his junk and everything, like it was spot on. It was it was horrible.
Put the lotion in the bag.
Yeah, put the lotion on his skin. Or gets the hose again.
I mean, it's so many great. I'm having an old friend for dinner. I mean, it's so many great lines in that film. Somebody's in a submarine. Yeah, it was Kurt.
Okay. Yeah, I'm losing power actually on my phone.
Oh, okay. So, do we want to wrap it up or what?
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
We can do a part 2, I guess.
Yes, we can do a part 2.
Yeah, let's do that because actually there's a couple more movies I want to talk about too. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we'll do a part 2. We'll do that next week, and that way, like, we can continue on with the conversation because I think this is really fun. There's so many movies to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
But
cool.
anyway, so all right. So Kirk, how can people get you on social media in case they wanted to talk to you about horror movies?
Just
Like, what's your Instagram name and what's your name on Facebook?
my Instagram name is I think it's K. God, I don't. Can I post it somewhere so people can see it? Because I
Yes.
honestly, God, I don't even. I don't even pay attention to that. 'Cause honestly, on Facebook, I have 3 different accounts. So Kirk David Smith or Kirk Smith,
Okay. And
but
that's on Facebook, right?
yeah, that's well, actually, yeah, you can find it. You can find it both on Instagram and Facebook. So
And he posts the best movie posters ever. So if you want to follow him on Instagram, it's awesome. I love all his shit. All right, Kinte, how can people find you on social media?
Sure, you can get me at Kente F on Twitter, at Kente Ferguson on Instagram. And of course, our website is indyradio.org. That's indyrradio.org.
All right. So you can find me on Facebook as Tory Rush, and you can find me on Instagram as Rush Tory at Rush Tory. And you can also find all of my episodes of The Infectious Geek on indyradio.org. That's indyradio.org. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and we're going to see you next week.
all right, take care. Bye.
All right.